With Mrs. Miller. We've been studying plants. We've looked at vascular and non-vascular plants. We've also looked at non-seed-bearing plants. So now it's time to look at seed-bearing plants. We want to be able to identify the characteristics of seed plants, explain the structure and function of roots, stems, and leaves, and describe the main characteristics and importance of gymnosperms and angiosperms. We also want to be able to compare the similarities and differences between monocots and dicots. So some vocabulary to be on the lookout for: stomata, guard cell, xylem, phloem, cambium, gymnosperm, angiosperm, monocot, and dicot. So this is a picture of a bonsai. And bonsai is actually an ancient method of growing trees or shrubs in very small containers. Now the plants are kept small by pruning the branches and roots. Because some types of plants used for bonsai can live more than 100 years, they are actually passed down from generation to generation within families. So let's look at some characteristics of some seed plants. Now, all seed plants have leaves, stems, roots, and vascular systems. They also reproduce by seeds, which contain an embryo and store food. Now, the leaves of seed plants can trap light and make food via that photosynthesis. Now, the leaf can be sorted into three layers. Now, the first part is the epididymis. This is a thin layer of cells on the upper and lower surface of the leaves. Now, they usually have a cuticle waxy coating, and within that, the stomata is located. Now, it's a small opening in the epidermis that allows carbon dioxide, water, and oxygen to enter and exit that leaf, and we learned about that in Plants 1. Now, each stoma is surrounded by guard cells that open and close it. We also learned about that in section 1. Now, the second layer is the palisade layer. Now, this is the chloroplast area. The third is this spongy layer, containing loosely arranged cells and a lot of air. So we have the epididymis with the guard cells, the stomata, and a layer of cuticle over it. The second layer with the palisades having the chloroplast, and the third layer with air and very spongy. Now, let's look at the stems. Stems allow the movement of materials between the roots and the leaves, and is really important. Generally, stems are above ground. They help support the branches and leaves and flowers, and they actually store food. Now, there's two kinds of stems: herbaceous, which is that soft and light, nice green, and then we have woody, which is the hard, rigid, woody type. Now, then the third part that we need to look at is the root system. The root system within seed-bearing vascular plants is used to collect water from the ground and nutrients as well. Now, they also help to anchor the plant so they don't blow away. And sometimes the root systems are also used to store food or that water. Vascular tissue. Now, within the vascular tissue, we know that there's xylem and phloem. Now, the other one that we need to look at is the cambium tissue. Now, we know that the xylem is actually in these small little rings here, and it's used to transport water, water only from the roots through the plant. The phloem, which is out here, the primary phloem, is used to move food from where it's made to other parts of the plant. So if we have them in the leaves, then they're going to move throughout the other parts of the plant. Now, the cambium tissue is right here, and that is used to produce new xylem and phloem cells. Now let's talk about types of seed-bearing plants. Now, gymnosperms are the oldest types of trees. They're the oldest trees alive. These are cone-type bearing plants. They have no flowers, and they have needle-like or scale-like trees. And we usually think of these as evergreens and pines and those type. So they're actually divided into 4 types. The conifers, which have the cones, and they have male and female cones. The cycades, the ginkgos, and the genophytes. Angiosperms are the plants that we usually think of. Now, these are vascular plants that have flowers and have fruit that contain the seeds. Now, the fruit develops from a flower, and most fruit contains the seeds. Think about an apple or a pear. Now, they have varying types of life cycles. There's 3 types of life cycles. We have an annual that only lives for a year, a biennial, which lives for about 2 years, and perennials that take more than 2 years to reach maturity. Think most of our larger plants.